Hey everyone, it's Aisha White, and I am here today with a special guest. This is my friend Michelle Asci.
Hi.
We are talking today about communicating to people about a disease that you may have. I think we can both connect on the fact that we've, over the years, had some issues with our digestive systems, and trying to communicate that to people can be a challenge, definitely. Michelle and I worked at a movie theater. We were managers there for some years. That's how we became friends, and we connected over different things like our love of film outside of just the movie theater.
Yeah.
And also, now we are soul sisters because of our digestive issues, diseases. And so I guess I'll just start off with questioning Michelle. I'll start with the first question and just ask you, what was the beginning of the diagnosis for you?
The beginning of the end. Okay.
I guess I should tell them too, like what it is. It's celiac disease is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, let's restate that question. When did you find out that you had celiac disease?
So it's kind of hard to pinpoint down, but the official diagnosis date is January 1st, 2016.
Ringing in the new year.
But before that, there was like a year or two before where I was getting random tests, but they didn't figure anything out. And then the 3 months before my official diagnosis was when I, officially.
Okay.
So yeah, January 1st, 2016. Christmas, holidays, New Year's.
A day that will live in infamy.
Yeah. It's really easy to keep track. So.
Well, I know you were saying how that was your official diagnosis date, but there were a lot of tests and things that led up to that. So I guess can you kind of just paint a picture of what that process was like for you? Because I know for me, it was a series of different tests. They were just like throwing at me, and at one point I ate like radioactive oatmeal or something like that.
I think I had some radioactive stuff, but not oatmeal.
So yeah, just kind of tell us what that process was like.
So I think the first sign that something was wrong, I ended up going to an urgent care with really, really sharp stomach pains.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought it was either an ulcer or appendicitis, or something was exploding and erupting in my stomach that shouldn't be. And that was probably a year or a year and a half before I got diagnosed.
Okay.
So this was I don't know what's going on. I'm going to the doctor, and then they did an ultrasound, and I think they did blood work to rule out kidney stones or something.
Yeah.
Basically, they didn't find anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was if it happens again, come back. I was okay, that doesn't help me. Here's pain pills, go away. But after that, I think when things started getting really bad was when I started falling asleep almost every day, for over 10 hours naps, couldn't keep awake no matter what I did.
Wow.
And then that was oh, this isn't normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should probably go to the doctor. So that I went to my general doctor, and she did a bunch of tests, mainly blood work. So it showed that I had low B12, low vitamin D, low iron, low something else.
Just everything low.
Everything was low, meaning my body wasn't absorbing something. So she sent me to a gastroenterologist, and they looked around, I guess, poked my stomach and stuff, and then ended up doing more specific blood work. So on a whim, I was actually checking out, and she had already ordered a bunch of blood tests,
Mm-hmm.
and then she was oh yeah, add the celiac panel test, and then that ended up being positive.
Mm-hmm.
So she called me and was yeah, you have celiac, on a voicemail. And I was what? What is celiac? Because I've never heard of this before, so I'm I have a disease?
I can call you back. Wait a minute.
So the issue with celiac is you can test positive and not actually have it,
Wow.
and you can also test negative and have it. So the only real way to rule if you have it or not is to get an endoscopy.
Okay.
So that's what I ended up doing. Like, I think that was like a month or so later. I did it on Christmas Eve.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I got out of some family stuff, which I was okay with.
Endoscopy, are they going, which end are they
Endoscopy goes
down
through your mouth.
Okay.
And they take biopsies of, I think, your small and upper and lower intestine.
Yeah.
So they're looking for the villi.
Okay.
And if the villi looks like little stubs instead of like hair,
Mhm.
like flowing in the wind, that's what absorbs everything. So if the villi are like stumps or not there, that means you have celiac.
Okay.
And so so like a week later, January 1st, it was confirmed. And thus is my process.
So I know you touched on this question a little bit with your other answer when you telling me about how sleepy you got throughout the day and everything during the process of learning that you had celiac disease. So I'm wondering, how did it affect your life? I know you're working full time and you can't sleep on the job, so it's probably
It's a no-no.
yeah, it's frowned upon to sleep on the job. And so, how did you handle that? How did it affect you?
Well, so at the time I was working 2 jobs, and I kind of blamed it all on that, just like falling asleep and being sleepy all the time. But it was really just like, you know something is wrong, but you end up just dealing with it.
Yeah.
So you convince yourself this is normal. Everybody feels this
Right.
exhausted all the time. But I think the wake up moment, I was driving home from my second job, and I like almost fell asleep at the wheel.
Okay.
And it wasn't even late. It was like maybe 11 or 12.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, something's wrong. But so I ended up leaving my second job while I was being diagnosed because I got a better job. Moved on up.
To be honest here, yeah.
But really, I mean, like, working with celiac and not being diagnosed was really difficult because you want to put on a brave face and, like, everything's fine, I feel okay, but then inside you're just like, I want to lay down and crawl into a ball. But it ended up being okay with my current job because I work alone.
Yeah.
And, like, by myself in my own little office. So that helped a lot. I think if I had been at any other job, then I would have been maybe fired. Because, like, I could just sit still. Like, if I had to use the restroom, nobody would know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, time wasn't an issue, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, to put it politely. Like, and, like, if I didn't feel good, like, nobody was breathing over my shoulder saying, like, you need to work faster or whatever.
That's definitely a relief because I can only imagine how tough it is trying to figure out what is wrong with you and like juggling 2 jobs. But then if they were both customer facing, because the second job is the movie theater, so it is customer facing, and you gotta like get up and you're constantly moving around. People are asking for your help and like sending you to angry customers.
No way
and
I could do that.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me, I think I'm gonna go like vomit right now. So
Nobody call me for the next hour.
Yeah. So it worked out in my favor to start a job where they were flexible with sick time. It wasn't a huge deal. I didn't have to deal with people like face to face.
Yeah.
So that all worked out. And not everybody's that lucky. And then like dealing with my life personally, it was a little rough. Like, all I wanted to do was sit on the couch and sleep. Like, I didn't have the energy to go anywhere. I didn't want to go out anywhere. It's like I just want to sleep and like curl up. And I was cold all the time. I was like, I just want to be warm. So I think my husband, he kind of started noticing things weren't right, but it's like a mystery illness.
Yeah.
And like, until you know what it is, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to, you can't take medicine to make it go away. You can't drink like 10 Cokes to get the energy back. It's probably the opposite of what you should do. So I think it kind of like, I started being less social and less outgoing, and I feel like I canceled a lot that year.
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember.
Like, yeah. So yeah, you didn't come to anything that I planned. Like, so yeah, and then like sometimes we would have like people over, like our Halloween party we do every year, and I would just be like, how am I going to get through tonight? Like, if I have to go use the bathroom for like an hour, like everybody's going to know. Like, or if I fall asleep at like 10, like how is that going to, it's going to be obvious. And you don't want it to be obvious.
Yeah. I feel you on that, definitely. And because like what was going on with me, so I was diagnosed with IBS, and so that's basically they throw a bunch of tests at you and rule out, like, oh, you don't have celiac, you don't have Crohn's, you don't have inflammatory bowel disease, you have a whole series of symptoms, but we don't know why. There you go.
Have a good life.
And they are kind of like, hey, there's a new drug on the market, you want to try it? And like, you're like, I'll try, I guess. And then you're like, no. And so it's just a combination of basically trial and error. And the best thing that they could say from as far as my disease was that they think it's rooted in stress. So they're like, try and reduce the stress in your life. And you're like, that's funny because
like you're stressed out because of this, but don't be stressed out.
It's the source of the stress, but don't be stressed out. And so it's like a cycle, and and trying to juggle that with work and just general life. And when you're going to social situations, it was the same for me. I was juggling 2 jobs when the symptoms first were onset. And
is that like something the movie theater cursed us?
I think it might have been. It was all the popcorn.
Yeah. Like we both had 2 jobs and then we both got sick.
Yeah, that's true. It's like asbestos or something.
Yeah.
We shouldn't say that. There's not.
We haven't said the company.
Yeah, okay. But I was juggling 2 jobs also, and I was super stressed out, and it like all these symptoms came about, and I had a customer, it was a customer service job. It was over the telephone, and I was like helping sell tickets, and then also like people would call and they'd talk really, really slow and be like, can you help me work my printer? Because I'm trying to print these tickets. And I'm like, all right, first what you do, you'll turn the printer on, and then like if you've got stomach issues or whatever, you're feeling sick, you're trying to be very patient with this person, and you're like, I have to go, and it's just like does not work out. Or you're like, hey, can you take this call for me, like telling your other coworkers, and you can't really explain, and it's not like a sexy subject to talk about. It's like, I gotta go to the bathroom, I'm sorry, like, you know, and people are
it's
like,
the nicest way you can say
right.
it. Like, I have to go.
But they're like, why are you going to the bathroom so much? Like, why are you taking so long? And it's embarrassing, honestly, and you don't want to talk about it, but it becomes such a big part of your life, when, especially when you don't know what's going on, you don't know how to combat it, you don't know how to control it. And so I totally feel you on that. It was a nightmare, like leading up to it. Were you still eating foods that had gluten in them?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're like,
I had no idea like what gluten even was,
right.
and I was just eating normally.
You're like eating bread.
Most of my diet, was gluten. Like I love sandwiches and pasta and pretzels and like everything I shouldn't have eaten. I was eating.
It's no bueno, guys. No bueno. Okay, so I was wondering, what have been some of your biggest challenges as a result of being diagnosed with celiac disease?
So some of the biggest challenges, I think I kind of mentioned before, just dealing with social gatherings and sort of like convincing yourself you don't need to cancel on people because it's my favorite excuse. But other than that, I would have to say the biggest challenge for me is because I'm introverted. It's just explaining to people everywhere and like in a way that they get it without pressuring me for more questions.
Right. Because more questions will come.
Yeah, they always like, no, so you can't have this. I'm like, nope, I can't.
What about this?
Yeah, nope. And then I guess the other biggest challenge, I love to travel, and so traveling is like, it's a whole process now. Like, so like if I want to do anything related to work, like professional development or conferences, I kind of like have to think about it. Like, can I go to this city? Can I find somewhere to eat? Am I gonna have to pack like 3 meals to survive the entire time? Like, and then just traveling for fun, I'm now like sort of picking like, well, which country can I actually travel to?
Yeah.
Which I know is like a first world problem, like where can I go or whatever. But even like in the US, just like certain cities, like recently went to New Mexico and I had like a horrible time trying to find food to eat. And then if you're gone for more than a week, like you have to eat.
Right.
like you need food.
It's just a week-long fast while you're traveling.
Yeah. So biggest challenge is just like preparing for every type of situation and not being able to just be easy going and like, oh yeah, we could go here, it's cheap, go fast food, whatever. It's like, nope, it's not happening.
I definitely feel you on that. In addition to being diagnosed with IBS, I have been lactose intolerant since I was a child. I'll probably get into that later, but like it's been a challenge for years, and trial and error figuring out what I can and what I cannot eat, because that's like a big thing for a child to try and figure out on their own.
As a kid, like
I'm like, I just drank some chocolate milk. My mom's like, you did what?
It's like chocolate and milk.
But yeah, like definitely traveling. I was talking to someone and I guess it never occurred to me because I've always been like, okay, if we're planning to travel, let me look at the restaurants and their offerings and where I can go and have things that have dairy-free options. Yeah. Because if it's going to be like a down-home southern cooking place, everything's splattered in butter. Exactly. Butter, buttermilk on top of more milk. It's just all just horrible things for me. And so it's the same thing where I have to plan ahead and like, okay, these are the places I'll go. And I was talking to somebody about it and they were like, that's out like side of their like bubble of thought, because they're like, what? Yeah, they're like, they're like, when I travel, it's just whatever happens to be available in that place where I'm traveling. It's like, oh, I'll go grab a sandwich, go grab this or that. And I'm like, yeah, I have to plan ahead.
Oh.
And like even more so for you, because at least, like, I don't know, there's things where I can be like, well, I'll roll with it. Like, I don't know, if french fries are the only thing on the menu, I'm like, I'll roll with the french fries. But then you run into the thing where it could be cross-contamination.
Yeah,
if they're like using
I can have fries, but if they fry onion rings in with the fries, I can't have it. So it's like...
Yeah, and I can deal with that. So there are some differences. So I'm like,
I'm in a bubble.
Yeah.
You're in a bubble. But your bubble has like armholes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
So I try to be like, I feel for you, I understand, but at the same time acknowledging that there are differences and I can still kind of maneuver and figure things out, whereas there are still a lot of like limitations.
And I've been on trips too where like all I can get is a salad, and I'll tell them like I'm gluten free, like just give me like vinaigrette dressing, because I know all vinaigrettes like don't have wheat in it, but then they'll come and bring croutons in it, and I'll be like, you have to remake this whole thing. Like, I would pick it out, like I'm a nice person, I would be fine with that, but like you'll kill me. Like,
yeah. And
you have to redo all of it.
They just don't, people don't think it through like that, because I remember like ordering a salad and being like, no cheese, I can't have dairy, and then I think they put cheese on it, and to apologize, they gave me like they're like, you want a free milkshake? And I was like, no, I don't want a free milkshake because I can't have dairy.
Like, do you know what dairy is?
They don't. The answer is they don't. Which actually that leads into a great question. How do you communicate with servers? Because I know it can be a challenge when you're out eating. Like, you basically just want to give up sometimes. How do you communicate with servers about your illness?
In the beginning, it was really, really difficult, but now I have like a list of like 5 places I know I can eat, and I'm sort of sticking to that list. But before then, I would first email the restaurant or call them, because I don't even want to go there. Like, if I get there and they're like, oh, we can't help you, and then it's like, what am I supposed to do now? So I find the easiest thing, if even at the places I feel safe, I'm always like, it's the gluten allergy, because I feel like they take that seriously.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the same reaction, like, my throat won't close up, but, like, I will miss, like, a week of work or have to go to the ER with, like, horrible stomach pains.
Right.
So I always throw in the word allergy, even though it's technically not an allergy. Yeah. My body just hates gluten. Like, it destroys itself. Like, so that's basically what I do. I use the word allergy, and then sometimes if I'm still, like, iffy about it, I might just not eat, or I'll like get it to go and eat it later.
Right.
Because they make mistakes. Like
they do, and they won't let you know, and then you have to deal with it afterwards.
And if something tastes too good, like, I shouldn't eat this. like, are you sure this is gluten-free? Because it tastes way too good.
Same. I'm like, this is particularly creamy. Are you sure it's dairy-free? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, but your menu says buttery green beans. And they're like, no. Like, all right.
I get sick. I'm sending you the bill.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like people are playing games with your life sometimes in the serving industry. You would think that they would err on the side of caution and rather be like, listen, I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't know. So what I'm gonna do is give you this alternative that's definitely safe, instead of being like, yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah. Or I know with me, if I'm like, I can't have dairy, that I acknowledge there are varying levels of lactose intolerance. So some people are like, I just eat through it. I power through. And I'm like, great. Yeah. But if I eat dairy, it's like I have a stomach flu. Like, I just feel horrible. Yeah. And I just can't do it. And I used to take supplements that would help me, like Lactaid, and there was this other one that lasted for like 24 hours. But I think my body just got immune to it or something. I don't know, I'm making this up. I don't know why, but like I couldn't. It wasn't effective anymore. And so I was just like, it's not worth it. Like, all this pain, all this like me being nauseous, all these things, not worth it. So I just cut dairy out a long time ago. But yeah, it's the same thing. I don't want to lie about it and be like, I'm definitely allergic, but no one will act upon it. If you go, I'm lactose intolerant, in their head, they're like, girl, I am too. Yeah. And I just eat through it. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not the same.
Or they think it's by choice,
yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm always like, gluten allergy. Like, this isn't a fad. I'm not trying to like lose weight. I actually need to gain weight. Like, my doctor said, gain more weight.
Yes.
Like, because it like helps when there's fads, I guess, because people are more aware. And they'll make a menu that looks better for people, and they'll actually list ingredients. But then some people just don't get it yet.
Yeah.
I wish I used to be the same way. I didn't understand like. I wasn't sensitive towards other people's allergies as much as I should have been.
Right.
But having this has made me way more appreciative and help everybody around me. So I'm like, yeah, I understand, I get it.
That'll do it.
Vegan, vegetarian, dairy-free, like all of the above.
Yeah, I love vegans now. Like, vegans, we're on the same page, because like, that's the easiest thing for me is like, okay, if I find a new food or something and it's vegan friendly, clearly it has no dairy, it has no animal products, so maybe we're coming from different places as to why we're not eating, dairy. But I'm like, all right, vegan candy, bring it on. So it's like, all right. But yeah, that works out well. But yeah, I've run into that where the servers don't understand whatever it is that's going on. They'll offer me gluten-free stuff sometimes. I'm like, I can't have dairy, and they're like, we have a gluten-free bun. I'm like, that's not going to help me. It's not.
It's probably made with milk.
Right, exactly. Like, sorry, but that doesn't solve my issue. Or,
I think I get the same. They say, like, oh, we have vegetarian.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the same.
I'm sorry.
Also, like, all the vegetarian dishes are probably gluten. Like,
yeah, that's true.
It's all pasta.
You got to lean on something. Like, if you got no meat, then you're like, all right, I'm going to fill this in with as much of the carbs as we possibly can. So when you're out eating at these restaurants, you're probably with your husband. You're probably with your husband. And I'm wondering how, not only when you guys are out in public, but just like in your everyday life, how is your husband an advocate for you? How does he help you out with the challenges of celiac disease?
So in the beginning, it was a little rough, because originally we were both going to go gluten-free, but ended up he couldn't handle it. And like, I didn't want to be the person that like, hey, you have to give up everything you love. So we like compromise, and where we basically don't make anything in our house that has gluten. He might buy stuff and bring it in, but then we clean up and everything.
Right.
So after that, he sort of started, like, once we got used to like the level of sensitivity it is, and like how we have to really like, I can't have this, this, and this, or I'm gonna be sick forever. And so when we're out, he's the best advocate when we're at family gatherings, I think, because now he'll kind of take the lead, and like he'll tell his parents, like, if we're going out for dinner, like, are you going to use the gluten-free soy sauce? Or like, if we get there, he'd be like, what did you guys make with this? So I don't have to be the one who's always like, tell me everything and like list it off, because then I get so self-conscious, cause like, like my in-laws, I don't want to like come in and be like, everybody revolve around me, like I am important, but like, so he's taken the burden off of that, which has helped a lot, so I can kind of feel normal. It's like, it's really helpful when we go out to eat, and if he thinks something looks weird and he'll be like, I don't know, like if you don't feel safe eating here, we can go somewhere else, or he'll get something and I'll go find, like we'll go somewhere else and get me something. So it's like, that's the best way, making me feel normal and like making it as easy as possible. Best advocate, like yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah.
That's awesome though. It's always great to have some sort of support system, whether it's your significant other or your family, friends, people who can understand and won't make you feel like a weirdo, really. Yeah. Like if you know, they know your struggle. If you're going to be in the bathroom for like an hour, they won't make you feel weird, like, oh, you took forever, where have you been, and you're just like,
we have to go, like, what are you doing, like, you know what I'm doing. I don't feel good.
Yeah, and even taking those steps to be like, hey, are you sure you feel comfortable eating here? That's very sweet and that's very admirable.
And then if I do feel sick, he'll help, like, he'll make sure I'm drinking lots of water, or he'll go run to the store and get me anything I need, because I can't physically move. Like, so that's nice.
He probably just, like, wants you to live,
Maybe. Collect the insurance money later.
Okay, so speaking of eating out and food and everything, I'm wondering what the holidays look like for you. When you're going to visit loved ones, family, friends, what does that look like for you?
I hate the holidays. Maybe everybody with a food allergy hates the holidays.
Probably.
Because it's just so stressful, because you're forced out of your own home, unless you're hosting, which we don't have a place big enough to host, or I would totally do that, just make all my own stuff. But you're forced to like interact with people you probably see like once a year. They don't remember what you have. They don't remember what you can and can't eat. And then they criticize you for not eating.
Yeah.
And I hate it. Or they ask you so many questions and you're like, I'm so tired of explaining this. Like, I don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
But usually the holidays, minimum, I will bring like a dish with me, and I will just get first dibs, load up on it, and just like sit by myself, and like nobody come near me with a bread roll or whatever. But it's definitely only a few places it's okay. Like my parents' house is fine. They'll like have a certain like dish I can use in different pots, and they'll explain like stay away from this, or we made everything gluten free, so don't worry about it. And then my in-laws are pretty okay with everything. It's like the outer relatives where it's still like kind of confusing for them, I guess. And it's just easier for me, like, just let me bring my own food. Don't point it out, and like don't make me anything either. Like, like, because I probably, like, you're gonna force me into a weird, awkward situation, which can be avoided. There's like one relative I have, she does like go the extra step, and she'll make me like banana pudding instead of like with the wafers in it. She'll make that first and give me her own dish for that.
That's nice.
So that's okay. I haven't gotten sick from that yet. And then with friends, I mean, you're like, we get each other. And that, like, work, though, that's always an issue.
I'm sure.
Like, holiday parties at work, it's always pizza. Like, always. Which doesn't work for you either. Like, so I've gotten a little stressed out about that, just, like, holiday parties and stuff. And, like, oh, I thought we were going to do a potluck. And, like, no, we're doing pizza. And, like, can we do a potluck? Like, should I just make my own like casserole, like, and I'll eat it by myself?
Yeah, that's smart though. Like to make your own dish and kind of bring that. And it's like you try, because there's a lot of things at play. Like you don't want to be rude by refusing people's food, but you have a legitimate reason, and then you have to explain your reasoning. And then they're like, well, why don't you just get a little bit of this? And you're like, no, because I can't have any of it. Let me explain. Like none of
Uncle
it.
Bob put that into that one, and now I can't eat it. Like, exactly. I could have, but now I can't.
Sorry, it's just not.
And it's nothing against them. Like, if you don't have an allergy, you don't you don't ever fully understand
Right.
it. Like, I can't have a cheat day. I can't, like I want to trust you, but, like, there's so many rules behind it.
Yeah.
I don't expect you to know.
Exactly.
So I don't feel bad if, like,
You turn down,
Yeah.
like, yeah. Sorry, guys. Like, you have good intentions and you want to make something for somebody, but it is very risky, like, to be like, yeah, take this, and you're like, I don't
like, I'm putting my health in your hands.
Basically.
Are you gonna feel okay, like, if I go to the ER later?
Can I pay my bills? Huh?
Yeah. Which has happened. I didn't go to the ER, but we had a Father's Day meal, and we had, like, a chef come to my father-in-law's house and make this huge, elaborate, fancy meal.
Right.
And he assured me, I was like, okay, the chef, he's a chef.
Yeah.
Like, he knows.
Yeah.
He ended up using, like, this weird ancient grain, like, millet or millet? I don't know how you say it. And it's gluten, and, like, after we got home, I just knew something was wrong, and it's like, he felt really bad and apologized for it, but, like, even a chef didn't know.
You should feel real bad.
Yeah.
You have to look up these things, and if you're unsure about it, the best thing to do is ask.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with asking.
And I think he maybe looked it up, or he went to, like, a health food store, and that person told him wrong.
No.
And it was like, yeah, he felt bad, but I ended up being sick all night, and it just puts a damper on things.
Yeah, it does.
Because you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a great meal, and it's like, I'm never eating again.
Yeah. That happened to me before with some, but it was my own fault. So it was like 4th of July, and I was with my my boyfriend at the time. It was like his sister, and she was throwing a party, and there were like after we ate, we went to see fireworks outside, and she had like a spread, and she was so good about it, being like, this is what you can eat, this is what you can't, yada yada. I was like, okay, great. And there were barbecue chips there, and I was like, that's my thing. Barbecue chips, I can have that flavor. None of the others, but I can have barbecue.
Yeah.
Except I can't have the wavy Lay's barbecue. And that's what it was. And I did not look at the bag. It was like in the bowl. And I was just like, took it upon myself, like, I'm fine. I ate it. Was not okay. By that point, we went outside. We like made our little cots and stuff out in the grass. And I was like, oh, something wrong.
That feeling, like, It's like, no, I feel it. Something's happening.
So it definitely put a damper on, like, on the whole 4th of July experience, the fireworks. And like walk back to the condo and like just be there for the rest of the night. And of course she felt really bad. It was my own fault in that situation, because I was like, I should have looked at the bag. But it's like someone with good intentions, and you're like, it was just, sometimes they like creep in there with foods sometimes. I know with like dairy, it's easy. It would be like tortilla chips, and it's like, oh, it's got milk. Why? How? What? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Make it corn-based. Like, it shouldn't be.
It makes 0 sense.
That's the other thing I wish. If I do go to somebody's house, I wish they would leave out all the things they put into it, just so I could double check. Because you already go into it like kind of mentally, like, I'm probably like, shouldn't do this, or you think you're gonna get sick, and then you make yourself sick, and it's like, I just wish everybody would like list out everything they put in, label everything, and it'd be so much easier.
It would be great. So if you're out there, if you're the family, friends, loved ones of someone who has celiac disease, lactose intolerance, any of these situations going on in their life, maybe consider leaving out the packaging and things like that, taking a look, leaving that out there so that you don't have to go read everything, just leave it out for them, and usually like your eyes can go to exactly what things to
highlight,
look for.
like what
Exactly.
like, don't eat this if you have gluten intolerance.
Consider that. Still going on this whole food train, right? Food. Do you find yourself cooking at home a lot more often now? Because I know that with this, like, going out, people don't understand, they don't know, your family's making you tired, and you're just like, you know what? I just cook at home. How's that?
Yes. I cook at home so much now. Like, my old self would probably like think I was a robot, like some doppelganger, like impersonator, body snatcher. Like, it's insane how much I cook at home now, because, well, like, on one hand, it's to feel safe, like, I know what I'm putting in, I know what I'm using, like, I know where this pot has been, like, I know what to do. That's, like, my safe zone. And then on the other hand, it's like, if I miss any food that I used to like, I basically have to make it myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm becoming a, like, world-renowned chef in my kitchen. But yeah, I probably cook, like, I don't know, at least 5 times a week.
That's really impressive. I'm kind of lazy.
I want to go out more. I used to go out and eat at least like 3 to 5 times, especially like when we're working at the movie theater.
Yeah.
Like, you work through dinner, you can't make anything there.
Right.
So I would go out and eat a lot, and now it's like once, maybe twice on a good week, and that's only if I'm feeling okay.
Yeah.
So maybe once a week I go out.
I mean, honestly, it's healthier. It probably saves you money in the end. Like, it's a good practice with us being adults now.
I know, like adulthood.
Adulthood means you cook at home.
Yeah,
regardless
in large
of,
quantities.
Yes, exactly. You're like, all right, I'm eating this for the rest of the week.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I make like really big amounts of food. I'll have my dinner, and then that's my lunch, and maybe lunch for a few days after that.
Do you get tired of it? Because I know that's my thing. I just have to, I don't know, just not think about it. But like, you're eating the same thing multiple times. You're like,
I try and like spice it up. So I might like skip a day if I know, or I'll save it for dinner the next night. So at least I have something different for lunch. But I also get really tired of cleaning dishes and buying lots of weird food. Random like spices that everything needs.
Okay, so Michelle was the inspiration for one of the blogs that I wrote. And it's titled A Beautiful Bunch, A Ripe Banana. It's lyrics from a Harry Belafonte song, the Banana Boat song. Damn.
Like, oh, bump boy. Or like, I don't know. I looked it up. It's on Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's the famous dinner scene in Beetlejuice, which is like appropriate for all this food talk and everything. But when I was watching Beetlejuice, I thought of Michelle because her and her husband, they cosplay when they're at Dragon Con. And I was like, have they ever been the couple from Beetlejuice? They should totally be them. Like, it would work out so well. And I was like, oh. And I heard the song, and then A Beautiful Bunch, A Ripe Banana just, like, stuck out to me. And I was like, you know what? I like that title. I'm going to make that the title of my vlog and also the subject for our video. So I have to ask, what does a ripe banana mean to you?
It means so much. A banana is basically like my break in a case of emergency, like glass thing. Basically, if I'm going anywhere, if I'm traveling, if I'm at work, like, I have a banana with me, like, because it's perfect, it's self-contained.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not contaminated. It's a banana. Like, you have to peel it to see it and eat it. Like, so yeah, I have a lot of bananas, and I've stepped it up a bunch. Like, I make banana bread now, which is like my second emergency thing because it's perfect like when you're hiking and just like a great snack.
It sounds delicious.
It's better than I thought it was gonna be. So I'm like obsessed. I make it like a huge loaf once a week now and eat it all week.
You have to make it for me.
Yeah. Although it has dairy in it, I'll have to find like some
almond
milk.
Sorry.
Thanks, Aisha.
We didn't mention like when you would have like these parties and we had another friend that was like vegan at the time. I'm dairy free, you're gluten free, and you're like, okay, I'm trying to make a complete
like
menu.
diagrams of like, okay, we can have like 3 of these and this, and Aisha can have this, and that person can have that. And like, what can I eat? Like, oh yeah. It was complicated.
Very.
But I'll do it for my friends.
See, that's true friendship.
And then you make me things too.
Yes, I do. I try.
Chocolate?
Yes.
I
try. I like be like, this is your designated bowl. Only you can use this bowl. And then I get back home and like other people are just like eating, I don't know, the most glutinous things out of it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Cause,
oh, wow.
All right, it's been contaminated. So we'll start again. We'll try again. Michelle, thank you so much for sitting down on this couch. Even though I'm like, thank you for sitting down. This is your couch. Thank you for inviting me into your home.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Before we wrap this up, and I don't know, maybe like go get some gluten-free / dairy-free burgers or something, fries. Before we wrap this up, I was wondering if you had any advice for people who, I know, like, at any point along your journey of like celiac disease, but particularly for somebody who maybe is new to it and trying to find their way, trying to figure out like, how do I deal with this, all these things. Do you have any advice for someone?
I think the biggest piece of advice I can give is to not give up. And if you know something is wrong with you, like, just stay determined to get a diagnosis. Like, you want to feel normal, you want to feel like everybody else, and like, if a doctor won't give you the answers, find a new doctor.
Mm-hmm.
If they are pinning it on something else that you just don't think it's like, that doesn't seem like what it is,
Right.
then like, just keep getting more opinions, because the longer you go without a proper diagnosis, the more damage could be happening within yourself, and you really need to just like believe, like, I know how I should feel.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't normal. Like, I need an answer. And then other than that, it's okay to be depressed. I have a lot of days where I just like, I see a sandwich and I'm just like, this is gonna make me sad for like 2 days now. But just like, know that there are people out there, and like, find a support group, even if it's just like somebody on social media, like, hey, like, I see you make gluten-free stuff, can I have a recipe?
Mm-hmm.
And then that can like cheer you up, just knowing you're not alone.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Those are really good points. And I would say, for people who aren't dealing with the disease, but family members, friends, people who know someone that's going through this, you want to try and be an advocate in a lot of ways, like how your husband is. Just kind of showing that you understand what the person's going through.
Yeah. And sometimes all people need is just like somebody say, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that you have to go through this.
Right.
Like, that's enough.
Yeah. Don't try to like shove your food down their throat.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, I'll make you things. Like, no, just hug me.
Yeah. Or go Google it and learn what celiac disease is and how it affects somebody's body. Like, that's the best thing you can do to understand. You will maybe never ever understand how it feels, but you can go and like WebMD it and you'll see. And the same thing for...
It'll be like, cancer. Like, oh no, they could get cancer. I need to give them gluten-free things.
But yeah, go look it up. And the same for IBS, the same for lactose intolerance, because I think people need to just go look up what dairy is. It comes from a cow. We'll start there. It comes from a cow.
Yeah.
If it comes from a cow, lactose intolerant people can't have it.
Don't do it.
But yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for giving this really, really insightful information to people, because I think everybody can learn from this. And at the end of the day, what's important is being able to communicate to people what your illness is, how you're dealing with it, and the ways that they can help. Because it can be an awkward topic to talk about, but it's important to be able to effectively communicate that to people and do it with tact.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.